Welcome to the third episode of the Self Love Uncensored Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Vanessa McWilliams.
And I'm Amanda Wozni.
And we are self-proclaimed experts in all things self-love.
Here you'll find uncensored discussions about life, living unapologetically, and becoming our best selves. Over the last episode and this episode, we are going to cover our stories, who we are, what mountains we've conquered, why we do what we do, and why we are self-love proclaimed experts in all things self-love. Vanessa, let's do this.
Yay, so exciting.
So last time you dug into my history, and today we get to dig into yours.
Yay.
Are you excited?
So fun. A little bit.
Yeah? A little bit nervous? You're like, what questions is she going to ask me?
Well, that's it. It's easier when we know what's coming, but I have no idea what's coming, so.
I don't even know if it is, because you can totally overthink stuff, so.
Oh, 100%. Totally, yeah. 100%.
Alrighty, well, let's dive in. Tell us, Vanessa, who are you? What are your roles? What are your jobs? Who are you in this world?
Oh my goodness. I'm kind of a bit of a chameleon. I do a little bit of a lot of things. First and foremost, I'm a mom. So I have two little boys that aren't so little anymore. They're 10 and 14. And I'm a wife to an amazing guy named Greg. And we've been together for almost 20 years, which is like crazy. Mind-blowing. I know, right? I'm a motivational speaker. I am a life coach. I am a master trainer with an amazing program called Transformation Weekend. And I am soon to be an author.
Yes, you are.
And I'm a podcast host. So I'm kind of a little bit of everything. But
and a model.
Sum it all up, and a model. Yes.
Don't forget about
model,
that.
A paid model.
That's right. You got to go look at Vanessa's Instagram and see her photos. They're incredible.
And if you want a little sneak peek, you've already technically seen me because our thumbnail, our cover photo is me.
Yes, it is. Such a vulnerable photo shoot. That one's my favorite.
So good.
Yes.
So good.
All right, next question. When did your self-love journey start? Did you have like an aha moment, an epiphany that started it, or how did it begin for you?
I did have an aha moment, actually. So when I was a little bit of a backstory, when I was 9 years old, I lost my hair to an autoimmune disease called alopecia. And I grew up having zero self-esteem and extreme immense self-hate. And I was bullied relentlessly, awfully through all of my school years. And I really struggled with identity. I, showed up in the world as the person that I thought the world wanted me to be. I hid under wigs. I did all the things to hide who I truly am. And the day that it turned for me was the day that I looked at my son when he was playing his iPad on the couch and he had his back towards me. And I saw a bald spot on the back of his head. And I realized in that moment that I have to show up in the world different because now it's no longer about me.
Yeah.
I need to show, and there's a lot more behind that story. But in that moment, I realized that the things that I was contemplating changing in my life, like at that point, I had also was the owner and CEO of a wig company. And that was born out of my desire and my need to make it different for other people and help others going through what I was going through. And so in that moment, I realized I no longer wanted to be the CEO of a wig company because now, and I had already been struggling for about a year making that decision, if I wanted to move forward and sell the company or if I wanted to continue running the company as my speaking career grew. But then there was a huge integrity gray area there for me because I couldn't stand on a stage and start talking about, you can love yourself. Because at that point I was a little bit into my self-love journey because I had been doing personal development work for a couple of years. And so I was starting my self-love journey a little bit before that. But that aha moment, seeing my son and seeing that spot on the back of the back of his head was really when it kicked it into overdrive for me. And I realized I need to show up in the world as a different version of me and a better version of me because now it's not about me.
Yeah.
Now it's about my children and what they're going to see. And I can't be a hypocrite and say, you're amazing to them every morning and you're good enough the way you are every morning when I wasn't doing that myself.
Yeah.
And so that really, for me, kind of kicked it into high drive. And I sold my wig company a couple of weeks after that and really got into coaching and speaking and doing all the things and really internalizing for myself what self-love truly was and trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning for me. Was really 10 years ago was the very beginning, 11
Yeah.
years ago. But then about 5 years ago was when it really kicked in and I was like, okay, let's fucking do this. Cause shit just got real.
That's awesome. Of all the things, I mean, I feel like I know so much about you and know you so well. We touched on this subject last week discussing what we were going to talk about. And I was like, save that. Don't tell me the rest of the story because I want to hear it with our listeners because I actually didn't know. Like, I knew that you were into the self-development space for a long time, that you had been attending Transformation Weekend for a long time. Obviously, I know you have alopecia, but I had no idea that it affected your children as well, and that moment was a turning point for you. So that's super cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. I really like how we're kind of very different in that aspect. Like, yes, we're on a similar journey with similar ideals and morals and values and stuff that guide us through this, but I didn't really have an aha moment. I just kind of had a sick and tired moment, and you had a very like line in the sand moment where you went from who you were to who you are. So that's cool.
And it reminds me when we were talking about you on the last podcast about that moment when you were walking and it was like -50.
Yes.
And there was that sidewalk that was cleared and then it was all snow and you felt like you were literally walking over the threshold.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
And
it can come at any point in your journey. I guess that's the point.
Yeah. And and standing there and having that like aha realization, like there's a fork in the road here. Yeah. Like I can either
life can never be the same.
Yes. 100%. So
good. Alrighty. So what does self-love mean to you?
Oh, I love this question. Self-love means to me a little bit of a lot of things. I think self-love truly is when you can embrace who you are without expectation, embracing every little quirk and special thing that makes you uniquely you, and not worrying about what other people think, but at the same time taking care of yourself. Yes. I think right now there's a big misconception in the body positivity movement and the self-love movement that people, and I have to say that 2 years ago, I was one of, this is exactly how I felt, was that like, this is me. I don't give a fuck, like take it or leave it, whatever. I'm good enough the way that I am, but I wasn't taking care of myself. I kind of swung the pendulum a little bit too far right. And I wasn't doing the things that were actually feeding my self-love and actually taking care of myself properly. So I wasn't moving my body. I wasn't nourishing my body with food that was actually better for me. And I hate saying that because food is food. There's no good and bad food. Yes. But I just wasn't making the better choice more often. And so self-love for me really means embracing who you truly are, figuring out what your values are and living from that place that makes you truly happy. Yeah. Regardless of what the people around you think, all of that, just really owning who you are for the right reasons for you and taking care of yourself. That's what self-love is to me. I think of myself, right? Like self-love is how you treat your best friend, but for yourself.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, totally. Inside our minds, we're the worst enemy that we'll ever have, when in reality we should be the closest friend that we would ever have. Yeah. So self-love, absolutely. I think you and I have both come to that point where, no, we're not perfect. That internal dialogue still has days where it has really nasty things to say to us, but learning to flip that narrative and change that script in your mind more often than not is a really integral part of self-love for sure.
Absolutely. And we both have days where we don't feel great. Like
Yep.
I talked about this last night on or on a call that I did with a group of women, and it was all about self-love. And that's the thing, like even though, I'm a self-love expert, I do this for a living, I still have days where I don't love myself. I
Mm-hmm.
still have days where I look in the mirror and feel like, oh, I just, I wish I was
Yep.
20 pounds lighter. But I truly don't wish, when it comes down to it, that I was 20 pounds lighter. It's just that old negative thinking, right? That all of
Yeah.
us have, and it never goes away. It's just on the better days, I know how to override that voice better.
Yep. Yep.
But we all have hard days. We're human,
Yep.
right? So yeah, we all
Exactly.
have days where we don't feel like we're good enough. So
Totally agree.
mhm.
Okay, so I think that segues really good into you already kind of tied into how like your self-care routines are an important part of your self-love journey. So what are your specific self-care routines? Like what are the things that you try to do on a daily basis? And then within that, can you define what self-care is to you?
So every single morning, I think it's so important. The one thing that's really, really helped me change my life is my morning routine. It sounds so lame. I remember the first time I heard about morning routines, I was like, Psh, like I'm gonna do a couple things every morning and it's gonna change my life. Okay.
Yeah.
But it really did. So every single morning, I do a couple of things, and I have some parts of my morning routine that I kind of let ebb and flow depending on how I feel.
Yeah.
But the things that I do every single morning without fail is I, of course, wake up at the same time every morning.
Yeah.
So I try and get up at 6:45 every morning. That gives me enough time to get up and journal. So the very first thing I do when my alarm goes off is I think of 10 things that I'm grateful for before my feet even
I
hit the
love that.
floor. Yep. And I mean, even if I really have to pee, then I'm thinking of 10 things I'm grateful for as I'm running to the bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
that's the very first thing I think of is
I'm
gratitude.
grateful for a toilet
And
that flushes.
right? I'm
Yes.
grateful for Kegels so that I can
Yeah.
hold my pee while I run, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it really makes a difference in how I frame my day. So I do my 10 things I'm grateful for as soon as I wake up. I pee, I come back, and I start journaling. And in my journaling, I write down, I have a goal mantra. So I write down what my goals are. I write down my goal mantra. I write down my affirmations, which I have about 4 of them. They ebb and flow between usually at least 2 to 6.
Yeah.
I do those. I get up at that time. If I feel like it, I go down and I do my workout.
Yeah.
Come up and have a shower, get ready for the day, wake up my kids, and
Get
then
your hair
it's
done. Oh,
downstairs,
wait.
right? I do my hair. Yeah. I slap some lotion, this big old dome of mine, and I'm good.
Right?
And then I get my kids up for the day. And it for me, it starts my day in a way that's productive. And because it's a routine, I don't have to think about it. It just happens. And it really does start the day, especially with gratitude, that you think automatically off the top of your head. It begins to train your brain to think of the good.
Yeah.
And so when the shitty days happen, you've already started your day in gratitude, and it really does anchor the rest of the way that your day goes.
Yeah.
And then I do the same thing at night. I have a nighttime routine, which is much the same. I think of 10 things I'm grateful for before I go to bed, and I shut my TV off and stuff. I try to. My husband, if he's home, will sit and watch TV in bed. But I try really hard to be kind of aware of that before bed as well, to shut off noise and stuff half an hour before, or I sit and I listen to a podcast, or I listen to music or an audiobook, think of 10 things I'm grateful for, and I go to bed.
Yeah.
And it just, for me, really anchors in gratitude.
Yeah.
And it, if the rest of my day goes to shit after my kids go to school, I still feel good about myself because I got my morning routine done.
Yeah.
I feel accomplished, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's funny that
I
you
think,
say that, because I started, sorry to interrupt you, I started
that's
thinking
okay.
about my interview from the other day, and I was like, God dang it. Like, we talked about habits, and I was like, what's my third habit other than like fitness and eating well? And I was like, gratitude. Like, I
Yeah.
like, it becomes so, I don't write them down, but I like even try and teach my kids. Like, that one of the kids found a quarter the other day, and I was like, what do you say? And he's like, thank you, universe. And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
Like, right. Trying to teach them
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But it almost becomes so ingrained and so second nature to just think about being thankful for stuff as you go, even if you're not writing it down, that you kind of forget that it's such a foundational habit, like to everything in life, more than just self-love. Like if you want abundance and better jobs and better relationships, like be grateful for what you have, or you're never going to get given more because you won't be trusted with it.
Yeah. And that's it. Like I've had people actually tell me that I'm too happy. Like I rub people the wrong way because I'm too happy.
Jeez.
And I laugh because I'm like, okay, but it's not that I'm happy. It's because I'm abundantly grateful.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Like
Yeah.
even in the hardest seasons, and we have been like our family, myself, I've been through a lot of shit. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of shit. And at the time might not be grateful for it because it's really hard. Like
Yeah.
our mentor, our coach told me, during the time of my, a really hard time season of my life a couple of years ago, that you can't see the forest because of the trees. And it was a time in my life that tested every single fiber of my being.
Yeah.
And looking back at it now, I'm so insanely grateful that we had those tests, because if I didn't go through all that shit when I was a kid, if I didn't go through all the bullying when I was a kid, if I didn't go through all the massive self-hate I had growing up, if I didn't go through everything we just went through 2 years ago with a
Mm-hmm.
business, if I hadn't gone through all that, I would not be able to say today, I'm so fucking proud of myself.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
We survived it,
Yeah.
right?
The hard
And you
stuff
might
is
not,
where it builds you.
yes,
Yeah.
110%. I wouldn't be where I am now without all that stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people say you're too happy, you're insanely happy, I'm insanely grateful.
Yeah.
And because I'm anchored in gratitude, my life is happier
Yeah.
because I choose to look at life through that gratitude lens.
Yeah.
So I find it funny when people are like, you're too happy, I don't like it. I'm like, okay.
But they
I'm not
also have,
apologizing.
you also have to recognize that like that's a them problem too, right? Like
Totally.
they
Yep.
see something in you that they don't have for themselves, which unfortunately tends to be more of almost like a jealousy thing. Like they want to be happy, they don't understand why you're so friggin' happy. And it's not like it's a show with Vanessa. Vanessa is just genuinely that sparkly and happy and crazy and outgoing and everything all the time. Like it's authentic. It's not a facade.
I can't fake this.
No, right? You can't fake true
No.
happiness. You can tell the difference.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. Gratitude, all the things.
Yep. I like that. Okay, well I think your routine, your daily routine covered your whole self-care routine. Everything's kind of encompassed in there. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Next question. What is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Oh, I'm gonna have to think about this. What's been my biggest failure? I think my biggest failure in life has been holding myself back. I can't think of any one situation in particular. I think it just allowing outside sources, outside events, outside things, allowing them to keep me playing small, I think is my biggest failure. I think not trusting my heart and not trusting my inner voice more has been my biggest failure. Um, and listening to the limiting beliefs that still float around in my head, I think has been my biggest failure. I
Yeah.
can't think of a single event, catastrophic thing that's happened. Um, yeah, I'd say it kind of encompasses a couple different things in my life, but when it boils down to it, is just, I think my biggest failure was not listening to my heart and being afraid of doing the thing that
Yeah.
would have been something that would have set me free or got me further along. But in the same sense, like even saying that, I know I'm supposed to, like I am where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
but not trusting myself as much as I think I could has been my biggest failure, really not stepping into my power. That's really scary to say.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest fears, is how powerful I actually am.
Yeah. I think
That is one of my
everybody
greatest
can
fears.
probably resonate with that.
Yeah.
We
Like if I
we
really think about what my capability is and how smart I am and how many people I could help and not doing the things to do those things, I think that's my
Mhm.
greatest failure so far. Yeah.
Sounds like it's time to level up, Vanessa.
Oh, I know, right? Welcome to our podcast.
Yep.
Well, this is
We're
part of
doing it
it.
right now. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
100%. It totally
Mm-hmm.
is. Totally
This
is.
is
I
staring
agree.
fear in the eye and saying, bring it on.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think that's important. And yeah, I really do think that that would resonate with people that, and I find anybody, you can word it however you want. They're kind of similar, but I think everybody either has a fear of failure or a fear of success. It
Oh,
just
mine is fear
depends
of
on,
success.
yeah, mine is too. And I
Mm-hmm.
always thought mine was fear of failure because I hate failing. I hate losing.
Mm.
I hate
Oh, I
coming in
love
second
it.
place.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh no.
I'd
See, and
I'd stop for you.
that's one of my questions for you that I like to ask people is that do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
I hate to lose because I think that there's a difference for everybody as to what winning looks like. Like if you and me, for instance, if you and I were running a race, which
Yeah.
you'd totally kick my ass because your legs are like amazing, you'd be long gone. But if you and I were neck and neck running a race, and I know that you'd be like, you'd probably be tripping me and pushing me because you'd be like, I want to win.
Yeah.
I would, I hate, like, I, I hate losing, but I think winning for me in some instances looks different than other people because I feel like if you and I were running a race and we were neck and neck and
Yeah.
I knew that the race for me wasn't as important as us all crossing the finish line, but I knew that you, like, it was really important for you to cross that finish line first.
Yeah.
I'd take a step back. I'd
Yeah.
slow up my pace to ensure that you got what you needed because that to me doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
To me, crossing the finish line together matters, that we both did it. That's a win for me,
Yeah.
whether I got first or second. So I think I hate losing because winning to me can look like a whole bunch of different things. It's
Yeah.
not the same definition. My definition of winning is not the same as everybody else's.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I hate losing because typically if I lose at something, it's because I didn't give it my best.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Because you
and
know
it's
you are
funny.
capable of it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. And winning to me, like I said, if it comes to running a race or stuff like that, like if for instance, speaking events and stuff, like if I walked up on stage and which is one of my biggest fears, it's weird because I feel like I'm at home when I'm on a stage talking to people, but it's
Yeah.
also still my biggest fear. Walking to the stage scares me till I
Yes.
get on it and then I'm fine.
Yes.
But if I let that fear for me stop me from walking on stage, I'd lose.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
But if I walked on that stage and I flopped, I still call it a win because I still stood up on stage in front of people and did my best. And that's still a win because I overcame my fear of doing it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah. It's
I
a
hate
really tough
losing.
question to answer because they're kind of one and the same, right? Like if you don't like winning or you don't like losing, then it
Yeah.
implies that you love winning, but there's just a different motivation behind
Yeah.
somebody who loves the win and somebody who just can't fucking stand somebody else beating
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
Because you know inside of you, you just talked about it, about your own power and your own potential. You know that it's limitless. And that's why you're the kind of person that hates to lose because you know you have
Yeah.
everything within you to beat any fucking person at anything
Mm-hmm.
at any point in time. Regardless,
Yeah.
maybe you don't love running a race, but if you really hate to lose, you're damn well going to find a way to win it,
Yeah.
right?
And when it comes down to it, I think I've reframed in my mind what winning and losing really is, like what winning and failure really is. And when it comes down to it, it's not about coming in first place on a race. It's not about being the best speaker that was ever a speaker. It's not about that. It's being better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And if I show up to a speaking event and I chicken out and I don't do the talk, I failed.
Yeah.
If I show up and I do the very best that I possibly can, and even if that isn't super great, like I hope that those days don't happen. But I have had speaking events where it just doesn't flow. My ADHD fires and it just doesn't happen the way that I want it to.
Yeah.
That still is not dictated as a failure for me,
Yeah.
because I still showed up even when it wasn't working the best that it could, and I still did the best I could.
Yeah.
That for me is a win. So that's what I drive for, is to be the best that I can in the capacity that I have with the circumstances that I have been given.
Yeah.
But if I just don't show up and try because I'm afraid or I don't think it's going to be good enough, that for me is failure.
Yeah.
And I hate to fail because it means I haven't tried.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I've changed it. But at the same time, would I love to be first in a race? Would I love to kick your ass on a racetrack? Hell yeah. Like, that'd be great to be able to be like, I beat Amanda.
Right?
I'd love that.
We all have that with our idols and the people that we chase. There's nothing wrong with taking somebody that's already done it better than you and wanting to be with them at their level or beat them, right?
Yes.
That's one of my favorite quotes that I have on one of my vision boards is work until your idols become your equals.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah. One of mine, I don't have it on my vision board, but one quote that I heard at one point was something along the lines of work hard enough until you're known by one name.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, like the
Oprah.
Cher, Oprah, right?
Yeah.
Vanessa. Yeah. That was a quote too. I was like, ooh, that would be really cool.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we going to go next? What is the best compliment you have ever received?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like you, and anytime I ever get a compliment or I get a review, or I have somebody come up to me after a speaking event and thank me, my greatest compliments have been how I can make people feel. So it's when somebody comes up, it's not, for me, a compliment is not, your head looks nice or you look pretty today. Like, that's not that. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Like, I thank you very much. That's soul food for sure. But the best compliments I've received are ones that resonate within people. Yeah. So anytime somebody has said, like, you made me feel seen, I resonated with your story, and, you know, you made me feel like I can do this.
Yeah.
Things along that line, that's the best compliment for me, is that if I can get into people's hearts and I can make people think and I can make people genuinely feel good about who they are and not about the surface stuff, those are the greatest compliments that I can receive, because then I know I'm doing my sole purpose is to make people feel good about themselves.
Can you think of one off the top of your head that's really sat with you or made an impact for you?
I'm trying to think. I had one, oh, it's going to make me cry. I had one little girl who, I've got a couple of kids that I mentor through the alopecia community.
Yeah.
And there was one little girl who had cancer. And when I was running my wig company, I used to go to the hospitals, the children's hospital, and help children pick out new wigs. And I was part of I was a volunteer for an amazing cause called Angel Hair that's based out of Toronto. And I donated my time. I would go to the children's hospital with my little suitcase full of wigs, and I'd help these kids if that was what they wanted, to have beautiful hair. I'd help their families and I'd fit them in, and everything would be great. And I'll never forget the day that I walked into this one hospital room, and this little girl, she was probably 7, if I can remember, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and at the time I was wearing a wig because of course I was selling them, have to show off the product.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't in my journey long enough where I felt comfortable being without my hair.
Yeah.
And so I walked in and I sat down, and she asked her mom, she wouldn't even talk to me. She asked her mom if I was another doctor. And her mom said, no, this is Vanessa. She's going to come and fit you with a wig. And she looked at me super cautiously, and I said to her, did you want to know something really cool? And I used to do this with all the kids. And she's like, yeah, really, really just standoffish, because of course I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
And I took my wig off, and she looked at me and instantly smiled, and she said to her mom, "Mom, she looks just like me." And in
Aww.
that moment, I realized, oh my God, like it wasn't a compliment,
Yeah.
but I have never felt so good about myself in that moment. And it was part of the journey of me realizing like we have such a greater impact on each other than we really know
Yeah.
just by being ourselves.
Yeah.
When you stop hiding, the people that need you find you, and the
Mm-hmm.
things that you need to do come, and the people you need to meet show up in your life. When you
Yes.
stop showing up as the person you think you're supposed to be and start showing up as the person that you truly are. Oh my God, I'm going to start crying.
So good.
And I have never felt purpose like that in my life before, ever. And that was that was one of my greatest compliments, was seeing that little girl look at me and have that sparkle back in her eye. And that day I walked out, I didn't put my wig back on that day. That family didn't buy a wig from me.
Yeah.
That little girl, after we tried on wigs, she was like, "No, I don't want one." And the mom and I had a really great conversation on the phone a couple of days later. And I said, "If you'd like me, I know which ones that you guys liked. I can always ship them to you. I can always
Yeah.
come back to the hospital and see you." And she's like, "No." She's like, "Seeing you showed her that she's not alone, and that's all she needed."
Yeah.
So for me, that was one of the greatest compliments I've ever received, because it truly shows what's important in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the outside appearance, it's who you are as a human and how you show up in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That sounds like that was a really important moment of healing for the little girl in you too.
Oh, huge. Oh, absolutely. As much as she felt seen in that moment, I felt seen in that moment.
Yeah.
Like she gave me, I could just start to cry. She gave me one of the greatest gifts that she'll never know she gave me.
Yeah.
And so when the fear comes, and when those times in my life happen where things get hard and I get scared of my own potential, or um the things that I don't think that I can do,
Yeah.
I think about her. I think about 9-year-old me.
Yeah.
Because if I continue showing up in the world as the version that I think the world wants me to be, I'm doing 9-year-old me a huge disservice.
Yep.
And I'm doing the world a huge disservice,
Yep.
because there's 9-year-old me's all over this planet who just need somebody to see them.
Yeah.
And that's become my goal. And that's why I'm so fucking happy. And that's why I have so much gratitude,
Yeah.
because without that, without gratitude, I never would have got to this place where I found my soul's calling and my purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I never would have met her. I never would have been given that amazing gift that had a huge impact in my life. So I think those are my greatest compliments, is when somebody can look me in the eye and say, you see me.
Yeah. Empathy. That's what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Cool. I love that
Damn it,
story.
Amanda, you made me cry.
I had to get you back. No, I wasn't intending to, but I
No, I
mean,
know.
we needed something specific, not just a generic of compliments.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a really cool story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Next.
Right? Big deep breath.
Yeah.
Zen.
We just stay in the icky stuff. What's your why?
Oh. My why is 9-year-old me.
I was just gonna say, I
My
think this is a
why,
perfect segue.
yeah, my why is my why is 9-year-old me. The reason why I go for really big goals, and I do really big things, and I live my life from a place of love, and I don't wear my wigs anymore, is because 9-year-old me needed to be seen. And 9-year-old me needed to know she was enough. And she needed to know that she was loved. And she needed to know that no matter what happened, it didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Right? I never felt good enough, especially the days when I'd wake up and there'd be hair, clumps and clumps of hair on my pillow. and watching clumps and clumps of hair go down the shower drain at 10 years old, and having no idea what was happening and feeling like I had no control over anything. And, I talked about this in our group last night when I did an interview on self-love with a group of ladies last night, that the people that are in our lives, as caregivers, parents, whoever raises us, whoever has influence on us, they do the best they can with what they have. Mm-hmm. And we touched on this during our podcast, or your podcast last recording, that I just totally lost my train of thought, that
it's okay.
we're watching our parents grow up as we're growing up, right? And we don't realize that. And, for me, looking back on my journey, like, I know I have huge empathy for my parents, because they did the best they could with something that they didn't have any fucking idea that was going on. Like, your daughter's hair's falling out for no reason. We can't tell you how to fix it or what's really happening, but goodbye. Like, good luck. Try and figure this out for yourself. And then dealing with a 10-year-old with big emotions, like, I have huge empathy for them, and they did the best that they could. But when it came down to it, I really needed just to be seen. And I really needed somebody just to look at me in the face and say, it doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It truly only matters with what you do with your life.
Yeah.
Like, and at 10 years old, that's hard. Because you're just trying to find yourself. Oh, kids are so mean.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do too, is because children aren't born mean. No. Children learn. So the apple usually doesn't fall far from the tree, right? And I get that kids have influences that are other friends and whatever. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, our children are watching how we navigate the world. So if they see us yelling or being bitchy with the cashier at the grocery store, that all of a sudden is acceptable to them because my mom is doing it or my dad is doing it. Yeah. Right? Road rage. My mom's getting mad at some girl who cut her off on Deerfoot Trail. Well, that's okay. We can talk to people like that. Like, it all becomes desensitized to them. And then we wonder why we have children who do these things. And so for me, it's like, my why is to be an example of how to show up in the world, because 9-year-old me desperately needed somebody to look me in the eye and tell me, you are so loved. You are good enough the way that you are. And let me be very clear. I did get that when I was a kid, but I didn't get it for the right reasons. Yeah. Right? I got it because my mom and my dad wanted me to know that I was good enough, but the world didn't see me. It's different when you get it from the people who are safe in your life than the people who you're afraid of judging you. And I really needed the world to tell 9-year-old me that I was good enough the way that I was, and that I was loved. And I never got that.
Now you're the voice in the world.
That's just it. That's why I do what I do. And I don't wear my wigs, because I want somebody to see me in the grocery store and be like, wow, like, she's going around bald. Like, that takes guts. Because then internally they start thinking, like, I could never do that, or maybe I should give that a try with whatever they're dealing with in their lives, not even hair loss, but with whatever they're dealing with in their lives, and start to begin thinking, like, why does that scare me to do that? Or whatever, right? Like, I just want to show people, even if it's a smile across the grocery store, like, I see you today, that went so off topic.
That's okay though. That's an important message for people to understand, that they can have confidence in spite of blank, whatever. We all have something big that holds us back in life. And it's totally okay to show up as you, despite your flaws. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, what you think people are thinking about you is only what you're thinking about yourself too. Right? Mm-hmm. Like,
110%.
Amazing share. What else do we have? What is the most important thing that you think you have learned in your life? And what is the difference in your life like before and after that thing you learned?
Oh. That's a really good question. I think one of the greatest things I've learned in my life is how to be compassionate towards humans who aren't maybe compassionate back. Um, and I'll, of course, expand on this. So I think one of the greatest lessons I've learned is that I can't control how other people show up in my life. I can't control how other people show up in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I can only control what I do and how I show up in the world. And like I said before, for many, many years, I showed up in my life as the version of Vanessa that I thought the world wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I put all the put all the makeup on, wore my wig every day. I was borderline addicted to wearing wigs. I slept in a wig. I swam in a wig. I gave birth to both of my babies in wigs. My husband in 12 years saw me. We've been together for almost 20, but the first 12 years that we were together, he saw me twice by accident without a wig on.
Wow.
Twice in 12 years.
That's
Because
crazy.
that's the version of me that I thought he wanted to see.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to think like I have a bald wife. Like that, in commercials and stuff, bald people are always portrayed as sick, right? It's the cancer commercials and the time for fundraising and stuff. You see the bald women on TV. We've never been portrayed growing up, especially in news and media, as healthy people. And I'm totally healthy. There's nothing wrong with me, right?
Yes.
My body just doesn't like hair. And so for me, I showed up in the world as a version that the world wanted me to be, because then I wasn't sick. I didn't get sympathy from people at the grocery store or comments from people that I get all the time.
Yeah.
I get comments all the time from people, especially if I've got my kids with me, that they feel bad that they, my children have to grow up with a mom dealing with cancer. And it's like, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is to be compassionate, because I'm a compassionate person.
Yeah.
And I have compassion for the people who hurt me. I have compassion for the bullies that tormented me growing up, because hurt people.
Yes.
And that's been my greatest lesson. The way that the world views me and the way that the world takes me in and the way that the world reacts to me has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with me. And I think that that's been my greatest lesson, is figuring out who I truly am and living from that place that fills my cup so that I can be a good human. Right?
I love that.
So I think that's been my greatest lesson, is shedding the armor. I still have a little bit of layers left. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I still have a soft heart and things still do hurt me. But when it comes down to it, my greatest lesson has been figuring out who I truly am and showing up as that person and not worrying about what people think.
Yeah.
It's just,
it.
that I think that's, what was the second part of the question? I forgot.
So that's okay. What was life like before and after that?
Oh, I guess I did cover it. Life before it was me just, showing up as the human that I thought the world wanted me to be socially accepted, be beautiful in all the crappy beauty standards that, we're put under.
Yep.
And now full of, full of a ton of self-love and don't give a shit. And unapologetically me. Uncensored.
Right?
Yep. Self-love uncensored. Right?
Love it. I love it.
Taking care of who I truly am as a human and filling my bucket first.
Yeah. I think we all need to learn how to do that, especially as moms. Yes.
These are good questions.
I know. I'm trying to ask you. We're running off the same interview notes here, and I'm trying to not just double up on all the same questions. So
that's okay.
I think that's probably the same as what I just asked. So let's leave that one alone. This one's fun. If you could have a billboard of you with anything on it, what would it be? We have to cover this one. Much fun.
It would be me. Okay, so if you've been to Transformation Weekend, you have been on the receiving end of one of my Care Bear stares. So we have something that we do at Transformation Weekend where we let it go, we bring new possibilities into our lives, and we have this really cool exercise where everybody stands in a circle,
Yeah.
and one by one, each person goes into the middle of the circle and lets go of something or whatever we're doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as that's happening, it depending on how many people we have in the room, it could be 250 people. It could take like an hour and a half where one single person, and the entire time the room is quiet. Like
Yes.
everybody is quiet. It's amazing. And the whole time I'm standing there and I'm just like focused, hyper focused on that one person. And as they're saying their things, and there's usually crying and tears because it's so emotional, I am just like Care Bear staring love into them and saying the things in my mind straight to their heart. Like, you are fucking beautiful. You are fucking amazing. You are like, I would have a billboard of all of that.
Yes.
All of the things that I think when I see somebody who doesn't feel good about themselves, I will stare you straight in the eye from my billboard, and I will tell you as you're sitting in traffic, it will be written in big, bold letters, you are fucking amazing. You are fucking capable. You are fucking worthy. You are fucking enough. All of those things, that's what my billboard would be. And then I'd have a little heart, Care Bear stare, right?
I love it.
Like 3D of me, high five. Yeah, that's what my billboard would be.
I can see it. I can just see it.
Right? Yeah.
I feel like
I'd have
you need
like
to
glitter.
make that.
Oh, yes. One day, I'm working on it. One day.
Oh, so
but it's just
good.
a billboard of love. Billboard of
Yes.
love that if you drove by it, you could not smile.
Yeah.
And think, oh, that was nice. I needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love is that so you asked me the same question the other day. And not only do our answers really like exemplify kind of who we are and how we show up in the world, but neither one of us ever thought for a second to be like, oh, I'd have my coaching business posted on a billboard for the world to see. It has nothing to do with getting anything back. It has to do with showing other people something relatable and something that lifts them up.
Yeah.
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 Your way is to show up in the world with love, and mine is to show up as a strong, badass woman.
Yes. Yeah.
I love
and
it.
that's it when it comes down to it. Like, the universe is listening, so we're not going to say we're not going to do it for the money.
No, yes.
But that's just it. Like, I don't ever want to feel like I'm selling anything.
Yeah.
That's not me. I want genuine connection with people.
Yeah.
And if that genuine connection then turns into something more for somebody, I welcome that with open arms, because I'm here to help.
Yeah.
And that is different capacities. But if it's for the greater good, slap my face on a fucking billboard and put, you are enough.
Yeah.
Done. Have little glitter bombs, so when each car drives by, you get a little spray of car. Fuck yeah. That would be my billboard.
So awesome.
Yep.
And right after that would be a vehicle detailing billboard to get the sparkles out of your car from Vanessa.
Yes. At VanessaMcWilliams.com, we go to the trusted experts for glitter detailing, 100%.
Right?
Yes.
Here's your 10% off coupon. Have a nice day.
Yeah. And even there, I train every single person to be like, you breathe life into these people, right? Oh yeah. I see a new venture in our,
love it.
in our future.
In our future. Oh my God. I love it.
So good.
Love it.
So good.
Okay, well, we're quickly approaching wrap up time here. So let's leave our listeners with something that they can maybe think about applying in their life, something a little bit more tactical. So what are your top 3 habits that you've created in your life?
Positive affirmations is the number one thing. So the things that I tell myself, so that can be like your I am statements. So if you want to start with something really easy, if you're new to your self-love journey, is just find one thing that you like about yourself. And if you're thinking to yourself, fuck, I have nothing, I don't like anything about myself, think of one thing. You don't even have to believe it about yourself yet. It could be, I have nice eyes. That's it. It could be something really, really simple. It could be, I'm a kind person. I'm a compassionate person. Anything like that. Just think of one I am statement that you say, I am blank. And you say that to yourself as often as you can remember. And when you can get to the point where that starts to grow and you start to think of new things, then you just add on to it and you add new I am statements. And that's why if you follow any of my social media, my email lists, like any of the stuff that I do, my signature is, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am enough. And I do say it as, you are worthy, you are beautiful, and you are enough. But those are the 9 words that changed my life. Those were my first 3 I am statements. And they have carried through everything. Yeah. So I am statements for sure would be number 1. Positive affirmations. I journal them every morning. Number 2 would be my routine. So getting myself into something that fills my bucket first thing in the morning, so that I know no matter how sideways the day can go, that I still have accomplished something.
Yeah.
Which of course makes me feel good, and that grows your self-love as accomplishment.
Yeah.
So yeah, setting up a routine for myself, filling my bucket first, putting the air mask on or the oxygen mask on before I help anybody else in my day. And number 3 is kindness. Kindness and gratitude is the third thing, is my must-have. I live my life from gratitude. I live my life from kindness. If you want to start growing your self-love, start talking to yourself the way you talk to your best friend.
Yeah.
Start thinking of your body as your best friend. Start treating your body like it's your best friend. Yeah. Even if you don't like her right now, that's okay. It'll come.
Yeah.
It'll come. And I think that's those 3 things for me have really been super impactful in how I've changed my life. Yeah. It's just coming from a place of compassion for the world, but also major compassion for myself, because our bodies have been told that they're broken and they're not enough for our entire lives.
Yeah.
Right? You can get me all fired up. We don't have time, but that'll be for a different podcast.
Yeah.
Just about the whole diet industry and all the cycles of marketing that we're put through from the day that we're born. And when it comes down to it, you just have to have major compassion for yourself and your body. Yeah. And know that you're good enough the way that you are. Nothing has to change about you to be valued and seen in this world.
And the really cool thing, sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
I think the really cool thing about recognizing that nothing has to change, nothing has to change in order for you to show up as you are in the world, is the magical moment when the things that you want to change will start changing. Yes. You just need to learn to accept where you are. You can't forever look in the mirror and loathe what you see, because you don't see what you want to chase in your future. Yeah. If you can love yourself where you're at, then the change will start happening.
One of the best things I've ever thought, and it came through my mind at 3:00 in the morning when I was laying in bed one night a couple of years ago, was that you cannot hate yourself into loving yourself. Mm-hmm. You cannot hate the version of the person that you are right now and expect to come from this place to self-love. Yeah. It doesn't happen.
No.
If you come from that place, you'll never be happy with your body.
No.
Hate doesn't equal love. Hate will never equal love.
No.
Love grows love. So when you have compassion for yourself and where you are in your body right now, and your self-love journey right now, that's where love will grow.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect spot to leave this.
Right?
So good.
So good.
Yeah. So good. Well, thank you so much for all of your vulnerable shares and for showing up in the world as such an authentic and beautiful and sparkly person, because you truly are.
Glitters and rainbows, baby.
Yes. I really think that will translate through to our listeners, and I'm sure they can appreciate that in you as much as I do. So.
Oh, I love you. Thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I guess, if our listeners want to get in touch with us, you can always find us at selfloveuncensored@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Instagram, all the social media. You can find this interview on YouTube if you want to watch our beautiful faces cry, and laugh and do all the things.
Yes.
But we'd love if you subscribe to our podcast, push all the buttons, find us on social media. Yes, leave us a review would be amazing. Yes. And just help us help you, I guess.
Yeah.
Push the buttons.
That's what we're here for.
Do the things.
Yes. All right. Until next time, my friends and listeners, we will see you on episode 4. That's crazy. Episode 4.
Isn't it? We're doing the thing.
We're flying, Vanessa.
We're flying. We're falling and flying at the same time.
That's right. That's right.
figuring it out. I love everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, have a great day, friends.
Yes. Bye.